Welcome to the Super Dash channel. Today we're going over my updated list for my Cheelai Lemo deck. This deck does three things very well and very consistently. First, it keeps your opponent's board clear of any battle cards. Second, it plays some really great green cards for very cheap. And third, it keeps your opponent playing with his fingertips while he smashes face in with the best unison card today. So let's get into the deck list. Starting off with the leader card, you can't add cards from your life to your hand during your turn except with this card skill. That's not a big deal. We're not running any of the 1-drops that take a life to either give double strike or crit, so that's not a problem. Activate main. Once per turn, choose up to one Dragon Ball card from your deck or life and add it to your hand. Then shuffle any areas you look through. This is a great turn 1 play to look through your life, see what you have there, pull out a Dragon Ball or two if you have some in there. If not, shuffle up and go into your deck to pull out one of the Dragon Balls. And in this deck, we're running the draw 1 Dragon Ball cards just to thin our deck out and get through it as fast as we can. And wish when there are 7 Dragon Ball cards in your drop area, choose to run one Broly BR card from your drop area, add it to your hand, and flip this card over. We are not running any of the Broly cards. I haven't really found a way that I like that to make it consistent and work well, especially in a red-green variant. But once I get a list that I feel is competitive enough and very consistent, I'll definitely get that list up as soon as I can. But on the back side here, permanent, you can't add cards from your life to your hand during your turn. Like I said, we're not running any of the 1-drops that do that, so you don't have a problem with that. It still does allow you to activate sparking on the negates, which could be very important in certain situations. But the activate main, once per turn, choose one. Draw 1 card, or choose 1 green or black desire card in your hand with an energy cost less than or equal to your current energy and activate its activate main skill. The important part here is to make sure that you're at the energy cost of the 4-drop desire card. You can't do it at 3. You have to be at 4 energy to be able to activate that. So just pay attention to that. Or on this card, you can remove 7 Dragon Ball cards in your drop area from the game. If you do, choose up to 2 green Frieza's army cards with an energy cost of 2 or less from your deck and play them. Then shuffle your deck and flip this card over at the end of the turn. So that last ability is pretty much what you're going to be doing if you're looking to close out a game. It's a very strong ability and you have plenty of targets in this deck to be able to activate that later on in the game. So the first card we're going to look at, we're playing 4 of a very strong 1-drop card in a lot of competitive decks nowadays. It is the Cheelai Frieza Force Soldier card. When you play this card, draw 1 card, and its most powerful ability that everyone is utilizing nowadays is its activate main, pay 2, choose up to 1 green Frieza's army card with an energy cost of 2 or less from your deck and play it, then shuffle your deck. This card is so valuable and so strong in this deck and many others, and there are plenty of targets for it to go into. The first being this card, which we are also playing a playset of. It's out of the new anniversary box. We're playing 4 of Cheelai Lemo, the Bandits. It has deflect, so it gets around a lot of different counterplays that people are playing nowadays. And it's auto. If your leader card is a green Shenron card, when this card is played, choose one. Place up to 2 cards with Dragon Ball skills from your deck in your drop area, shuffle your deck, then draw 1 card. Or add up to 1 green desire card from the drop area to your hand. So my favorite play is to play this card on turn 3, probably when I have about 3 Dragon Balls left in my deck. I can use my leader's ability to go in and grab a Dragon Ball, then play this card, grab the other 2, draw a card, and then basically play those 3 Dragon Balls in my drop area for 3 brand new cards. Just plussing so much with this 1 card. And this card is also very good late game if you get stuck in a very bad situation where for some reason all of your desire cards are in the drop area, you've used them. Well, you can play this card down, add it back to your hand, and then use it with the backside of your leader for free. Next, we're going into 2 tech cards. The first being, we're playing 2 of Cheelai the Beautiful. It's only a 2 of in this deck because, like I said, it's kind of a tech card. We only want this out in certain situations. Sometimes we can bring it out with the 1-drop or play it, or just hard cast it, and sometimes we can play it with the backside leader ability from our deck. There's a lot of different ways of getting this card out. There's no need to have more than 2 because you only really need it when you want to have it. And like I said, that's only in certain situations. This deck is very flexible the way I have it built, and I found that having this card and the next card I'm going to show you at 2 has been pretty much perfect. So we're playing 2 of this, and this auto is once per turn when one of your opponent's battle card is KO'd, which we have a lot of ways of doing in this deck. Your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and places it in the drop area. So this card goes great with the theme of the deck. It's a Cheelai card, one of the best looking cards we have in the deck, and just a great tech card to include in this green deck along with many other green decks out there. And the second tech card we are looking at, we are playing 2 of Speedy Partner Lemo. His auto, when you play this card, if there's a Cheelai BR card in play in your battle area, your opponent chooses one card from their hand and places it in the drop area. And this is also a great card to get out if you're trying to get rid of a Unison card. With that 15k power, it's hitting a lot of the Unison cards around right now. Next card we are looking at is one of the MVPs of the deck. We are running 3 Fuse Zamasu, Deity's Wrath. The big boy, he has Indestructible and Activate Main, pay 1. If you have 3 or more energy, choose green battle cards in a battle area with 5k power or more and a total energy cost of 5 and place them in your drop area. Play this card from your hand. When this card attacks, your opponent chooses one card from their hand and places it in the drop area. This is pretty much standard in every mono green or green deck out there running any of the Unisons that pair with the 5-drop Frieza that counterplays for free when you have a Unison out. This is just a standard great green card to have out. It's doing everything you want it to do with the theme of this deck, and on top of that, it's indestructible, so your opponent is going to have a very difficult time getting rid of it. So we're playing 3 of those, and like I said, those come out very easily with this counterplay here. We're playing 3 of the Frieza counterplay with the Unisons. Auto, when this card is played, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 7 or less and KO it. This is a great counterplay to have with the Unisons we are running in this deck. The Unison counterplays are pretty standard with just about every deck out there right now. We're playing 3 because I've been testing out my decks by playing 3 of the counterplay cards, because you need to have the Unison cards out to be able to play these cards. I don't like having cards in my deck at 4-ofs that require one other card to be on the board for you to play. And since I've been doing this, I've been having a lot more room to possibly put certain cards that I need to see at 4. And I'm seeing these counterplay cards when I need them and they're not clogging my hand up. But that's just a personal preference. If you want to run 4, you certainly can get away with it. My Unisons typically stay on the board. I don't have a problem keeping them up with the negates I'm running, so keep that in mind. And the first Unison card we are running in this deck, which is by far one of the most powerful, is the SS Bardock Paternal Unison. His auto, when your opponent combos, you may place up to 1 card from their combo area in its owner's drop area. If you do, negate this skill for the turn. A very powerful auto to have on a Unison card, especially when trying to protect it or protect one of your other cards like your leader card, and makes your opponent have to devote several cards to get in an attack if he has to do that, instead of just being able to combo 1 card. And his +1 activate main, you may choose one of your green battle cards with an energy cost of 1 and KO it. If you do, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and discards it. On theme with the deck, making your opponent discard. And his -3 activate main, which I rarely use because of the big Unison card we're playing in this deck as well. But it might come up in certain situations and still be very good. His -3 activate main, this card gets +5k power and triple attack for the turn. So just another great way to close out the game, just another finisher to have, also with that awesome auto ability. But we are running 4 of this Unison, and we are running 2 of the best Unison card in the game, Vegeta, Resolute Agent of Destruction. So as soon as you play this card on turn 4, he has an auto, choose 1 card in your hand and discard it. When this card is played, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and KO them. That alone is an excellent card to have in this deck, especially if your opponent is playing cards that has barrier. Cough cough, the big Great Ape deck that's very popular right now gets rid of all of those cards as soon as you play this down, and it's also a double strike critical. So this was the card I was talking about when you're just beating your opponent's face in. He has a +1 activate main. This card gets 5k power for the turn. -5 activate main. If your leader card is an evil wizard card or all of your energy is mono green, which it will be in this deck because this deck is a mono green deck, choose 3 cards in your opponent's hand and discard them. Obviously a very strong ability to have. I didn't have to use it too much because this card was closing out the game with its 25 double crit, or my opponent was already down to 1 or 2 cards in hand with all of my other cards making them discard. But this is the boss monster of the deck. Honestly, I think it is a very overpowered card. I think they gave this card way too many abilities, but I'm not really complaining because I needed something like this to play in my green decks. They're kind of set up in similar ways where they're making your opponent discard. But I was having a very difficult time finding a boss monster card to throw down that does something like this and stays on theme with the deck. So this was a great choice to include. Next, we are looking at 2 Son Goku Power of Legends. This is just a nice free card to get out. This deck is constantly making your opponent discard, so when you have this card in your hand, odds are it's coming out that turn. It's a critical 5k. You can only have 1 out at a time, so that's why we're only running 2 of this. His auto, if your leader card is green, which it is, when one of your card skills makes an opponent discard a card, you may play this card from your hand. And also, he has a second ability that I haven't seen too many people utilizing, just because, no, this is a very strong card to have out on the board and make your opponent get rid of. But in certain situations, I've actually used this to get rid of something that was causing me trouble on my opponent's board that I just wasn't able to get rid of in time. But he has a second ability: send this card to its owner's warp, and you can't play copies of this card for the turn, which we won't. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 4 or less and send it to its owner's warp. So not only are you getting in that crit and 15k and potentially making your opponent discard more cards to combo out of it, but you're also potentially getting rid of something that you haven't been able to get rid of yet. But most of the time, it's just going to stay on the board. Now let's get into our super combos. Because we are running the Bardock Unison, the one and only choice for this deck was the 1-drop Vegeta the Lone Prince. A very great new green card that we got. He's a super combo, 10k. If your leader card is green and your life is at 4 or less, when this card is used in a combo, draw 1 card. And his second auto, which is the best turn 1 play in the deck, if your leader card is mono green, when this card is played, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and discards it. So for the cost of 1 super combo, you're playing this card, next turn playing your Bardock and making them discard 2 cards with simply getting rid of 1 card. In this deck, that is totally worth it and causes your opponent a lot of problems. So on to the 5 wish cards that we are running in this deck. The first one, which is the most powerful, is a Kind Wish. This card's activate main. If your leader card is a green freezes army card, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place them at the bottom of their owner's decks in any order. And if there are no battle cards in play, you can play a Broly BR with a cost of 4 for free. But a majority of the time, I'm going to have cards on the board. I haven't run into an instance where this card would be like game winning if I had that Broly BR card. I don't really have a problem with keeping my cards on the board or keeping cards coming out for free, because this is the whole point of the deck. We're primarily using this card to just wipe your opponent's board. And I found that it has a perfect place at 3. I don't feel like I need to be running 4 for it to be useful or to have it when I need it. 3 has been a perfect number personally for me. And the second wish card that we are running is the brand new Allied Reinforcements. In some lists, this might be a 4 of to play turn 2, but in my list, I just didn't see myself needing this card. I found that it's been a good 2 of to kind of tech in here and use when I absolutely needed to. A majority of the time when I'm activating Wish, I'm simply just using a Kind Wish, but there have been a couple instances where this card has come in clutch for me, using its second ability, which I'll read off, and getting some free cards out from a drop area that might be useful, that might not be in my deck to be able to be used later. But this activate main, if your leader card is a Cheelai Lemo BR card, and you choose 1 card in your hand and discard it, choose 1. If you have no cards in your battle area, play up to 1 green Broly BR card with an energy cost of 4 from your deck, and up to 1 green Cheelai BR or Lemo BR card from your deck, then shuffle your deck. Or play up to 1 green Cheelai or Lemo card from your drop area. So like I said, we are only using this card maybe once a game when we absolutely need it. We aren't running the Broly BR card in this deck, so we're obviously not going to have any value from the first effect. But we are running a lot of useful Cheelai and Lemo cards in this deck, and if one gets bumped into the drop area and we don't have any more copies, nothing in our hand, this card can come in very clutch, play for 2, and play that card out from our drop area. So let's get into the negates, which are the bread and butter of stalling your opponent out and waiting to get to your win con. We are running 3 Dormant Potential Unleashed. Counterattack, if your leader card is mono green, choose any number of your opponent's battle cards that add up to a total cost of 2 or less and KO them. Additionally, you may choose 1 green card in your hand and discard it. If you do, your opponent can only attack once more this turn. So an important thing to keep in mind here, this doesn't stop the current attack, but it makes your opponent only able to attack once more after that with any card. And on top of that, you're potentially clearing the board, which has been very strong against the Agent of Destruction deck, and keeping the tempo of the game slowed down so that we can get to our win con and keep making our opponent discard cards and wasting resources. And it's permanent. If you have a green unison card in play, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand without paying its energy cost. So on top of that top great effect, it's potentially free as long as you have one of the unison cards out, which a majority of the time we are having that Bardock out turn 2. And next we are running 2 of Shocking Death Balls. Playing a Shenron leader and having the draw 1 Dragon Balls, we're getting through our deck pretty quick, thinning our deck out with the Cheelais. While running 3 of the Dormants, I haven't been in any situation where having more than 2 of these cards would have been life-saving. We're constantly getting rid of our opponent's resources and battle cards and just about everything that we possibly can. So there haven't been too many situations where this card, like I said, would just have help us not lose the game. So I'm keeping this card at 2 of, and we're also just playing 1 for the greater good. This card is obviously good against Invoker decks that can kind of rip your negates from your hand. They're also really good pitch fodder for Dormants, but not seeing too many Invoker decks nowadays in some of the online tournaments. I think this card is either good at a 1 of or potentially taking it out for another Shocking or some other useful card. We are running 2 Dragon Radars. This card's activate main, choose 1, look it up to 7 cards of your deck, choose up to a total of 2 Dragon Ball or Desire cards and add them to your hand, or choose up to a total of 2 Dragon Ball or Desire cards from your drop area and add them to your hand. So this card has been really good for helping me draw cards, potentially mid-game. That's when I found this card has been most useful, is getting 2 Dragon Ball cards back in my hand, pitching them and drawing 2 cards, or potentially getting a Desire card that I've had to pitch early versus another mono green deck that's making me discard. This is a really good 2 of to kind of flex with your Dragon Balls and drawing and all of your Desire cards. So we're running 2 there, and we are running, like I said, 7 of the draw 1 Dragon Ball cards to close out our list of 50 cards. So let me wrap this up real quick. Like I said, this deck has done very well against the Agent of Destruction deck. It's one of the few decks out there that I've seen deal with such a wide board that the Agent of Destruction has to offer. Keeping the tempo slow with Dormant and then just wiping their board out turn 4 with either a Kind Wish or the Unison card has been completely devastating against Apes and the Agent of Destruction decks. So if you really like playing green decks, if you like making your opponent discard, if you like playing something that's really good against the meta decks, this seems to be a great contender right now. So put this list together. If you want to switch up some of the tech options in the deck, go ahead. Let me know down in the comments how you do in your testing. I honestly believe that this deck is probably about 80 to 90% how I want it and how I believe it is the best that can possibly be. But if you have any tips or any ideas for me, please leave them down in the comments. Give this deck list a try and let me know how you do. Thanks so much for watching the video. I'm currently still working on my Android 21 list. I've been working out a few different kinks and figuring out some certain rulings that have made me choose some different cards to throw in here. But I'm still working on it, and as soon as I get it to a point where I feel it's very strong and, like I said, very consistent, I'll have that list up on my channel. So thanks again. I'll see you in the next one.